Eric Deters, the Bulldog on Real Talk 1160. The videographer's here, so we'll soon be doing video casting.
He went down to Findlay Market. That's what happened.
You know what? Because Ladybug is such a hiker. By the way, my wife and her son hike a lot, and actually asked me to ask Ladybug, where's the best places in the tri-state to hike. Yeah. But in addition to the Oracle status, I'm going to make Ladybug feel really good today. In addition to the Oracle status, we're going to give her one of the highest honors that we give a woman on our show. We're going to Tom Jones you, Ladybug.
Oh, okay.
I mean, not only do you get Oracle status for this 1,400-mile hike, you're getting Tom Jonesed.
That's right.
This is classic, baby. If you're a hiker. I'm just teasing, Ladybug. Ladybug's old man better take her to dinner for completing that hike.
Yeah, we could change this song to She's a Ladybug.
She's a ladybug. There you go.
Or a hiker bug.
Thank you, TC. Before we get back, let's just go ahead and get into this Supreme Court issue. Ladies and gentlemen of the American jury, Barack Obama, your president, is a complete phony fraud. I mean, it just keeps going on and on and on. He claims that he taught, and I assume that he did, constitutional law. I think it was at Chicago University or Northwestern or whatever, that he taught constitutional law. If you took constitutional law in law school, one of the first cases that you read is Marbury versus Madison. Marbury versus Madison. Madison being James Madison. Okay? And what Marbury versus Madison was about was John Marshall, who was the third Chief Justice of the United States Supreme Court. And you remember, when we started this three branches of government, they kind of had to find their way in the beginning, okay? And Marbury versus Madison, John Marshall, I think he was Chief Justice for like 30 years. John Marshall laid down a principle, a holding, a decision in Marbury versus Madison, which said the Supreme Court will be the final decider. God, I just can't believe I used the George Bush word. The final decision maker, the final arbitrator of whether or not a law is constitutional or not. Ladies and gentlemen, the American jury, it's really quite clear, very simple. What the Supreme Court is doing under Obamacare is having to decide if the law is constitutional. And the clause of the Constitution in play is the Commerce Clause. Does the Commerce Clause, based upon all the decisions, and it's called stare decisis or precedent, and all the cases that the Supreme Court has decided from the beginning until now, whether or not that Commerce Clause allows Obama and his administration and Congress to require you to purchase health care or penalize you for it. The President of the United States basically challenged. Now, he's backtracked yesterday. I'll bet you the White House legal counsel, the Solicitor General, were like, oh, my God, you got to clarify this. And a very contrite Obama tried to back up. Ladies and gentlemen of the American jury, you had a President of the United States who used to teach constitutional law basically questioning whether or not the Supreme Court can decide an issue is constitutional or not. It's pretty incredible. I mean, it really is. So it's going to be, and now, obviously, does this make any difference? As I put on my Facebook page last night to promote the show, I commented about Nancy Grace, the mean, you know what. But you know what? I also commented about this, and you know what I said, and it's the truth, Bulldog Nation? Ladies and gentlemen of the American jury, do you know that if we proved Barack Obama was a card-carrying communist and that he was selling secrets to China and Russia, if we proved that beyond a shadow of a doubt, you know what? Somebody's calling TC. There would be no doubt. 50% of the or 49% of the American people would vote for him anyway. 49% would vote for him anyway. If we proved he was a communist, and ladies and gentlemen of the American jury, you will not convince me different of that. It doesn't make any difference what this president does. All those freeloaders out there who are getting their check from some kind of government would vote for him no matter what. And by the way, folks, I got my issues with the Supreme Court from time to time. I really do. I mean, for example, I'm mad at the Supreme Court for not taking this case sooner. I've had my issues with federal district judges around here. I've had my issues with the Sixth Circuit. For example, I'm representing Terry Williams, who happened to be a naked black man needing some medical care, who gets tased over 30 times by cops, and they get away with it. I win at the district court level. The Sixth Circuit reverses it. We call it the naked black man exception to the Fourth Amendment. In other words, if you're a naked black man, the cops can do whatever they want to you because you're a naked black man.
It's the new rule. Naked white man.
Oh, I guess. I don't know about the naked white man because I don't know if this ever happened to a naked white man before. All I know is I had white cops tasing and beating the hell out of a naked black man for no good reason. And I took that case, win at the district court level. The Sixth Circuit reverses a terrible decision where they carve out the naked black man exception. And then we appeal it to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court doesn't take it.
We got to find a naked white man and complete the experiment.
My point is that I take great exceptions with the courts all the time.
Right.
I was sanctioned by a federal judge, which, for suing a prosecutor who, I'm sorry, I think the prosecutor knew somebody was innocent. They shouldn't be allowed to get away with that. But anyway, the bottom line is, everybody takes exceptions, and presidents have taken exceptions. I mean, I love Andrew Jackson. When John Marshall ruled against him on the Indian case, he said, well, just let John Marshall enforce his law. I'm not going to. I mean, it was like, oh, my God. So
handle it yourself.
And the other thing is, Obama tried to explain it, TC, by saying, well, I'm just saying that the conservatives always say that we don't want activists on the court, so let's not just over. It's not activism for them to decide a law is constitutional. And by the way, folks, all of you that are going to say, George Bush this, George Bush this. George Bush, he made terrible comments about the Supreme Court too. But I'm just saying, this is unprecedented when you have a federal judge wanting clarification from a president's administration what their understanding of the Supreme Court's authority is, and the federal court's authority is to find a law constitutional. Now, you want to say, well, why is that important? Well, here's why it's important. That judge wants to know, I'm very confident, if the administration, what they're doing behind the scenes to maybe subvert that authority of the courts. That's my opinion. Glenn from Mason, you're on Real Talk 1160.
What's going on, Eric?
I'm just doing a little analysis here.
Hey, a couple of things. It's not unprecedented for the President of the United States to admonish somewhat or critique the Supreme Court. Republican presidents have been doing it for years, especially during State of the Union addresses, because of their disagreement with Roe versus Wade. So I just want to declare that. And as far as electing President Barack Obama, if you said it was a communist, was those your words?
No, I said if we proved. Okay. I want to ask you this question, Glenn. If we proved that Barack Obama was a communist and that he actually sold American secrets to Russia and China, what is the percentage of the American vote do you think he would get? I say he'd get at least 49%.
No, I don't think American people are that gullible. But then again, you have to admit there were a lot of people that voted for dumb old Sarah Palin, and Lord knows we've probably elected many presidents that were slave owners, segregationists, and everything else. That didn't follow those three pillars that you talked about. But I'll give them a break because I've always said that we signed the Civil Rights Act and the Voting Rights Act after we decided to read the Bible in this Judeo-Christian country that we live in. So I don't know. You might have a point, but then again, like I said, there were a large percentage of people who actually believed that Sarah Palin was fit to be a VP. Can you imagine John McCain having a heart attack with Sarah Palin at the helm? Talk about a cluster, you know what.
Glenn, I'm going to shock you. On the Sarah Palin issue, I like her looks. I like her policy. I like her ideology. But why is it that I find myself feeling guilty? I can't stand her. She doesn't seem to have a lot going on, in my opinion.
Sasha and Malia are smarter than Sarah Palin.
Right.
And there's no doubt that Michelle is smarter than Sarah Palin. I think it's an insult to women everywhere
but her problem
that
is
she was even suggested to be the VP.
The problem with Michelle is her ideology, though. That's why I'd take Sarah Palin any day, because her ideology is at least correct. When we come back, Jim from White Oak, I think, is going to retort. And we're going to have a feel-good song that's going to be fun to discuss. The Bulldog on Real Talk 1160.
We'll find out at 8:30 if Mike Huckabee's been listening to the Bulldog this morning. The Huckabee Report coming up at 8:30 here on Real Talk 1160. And now back to the Bulldog.
Eric Deters, the Bulldog on Real Talk 1160. Coming up, we're going to cover last night's elections. I got a few more comments to do on the Supreme Court. For example, how funny is this? Barack Obama saying, the Supreme Court should not overrule this decision because a majority of Congress voted for it. A majority of Congress by 7 votes, and guess what? That has never been the standard of whether something is constitutional, because it passed Congress.
Right.
All laws pass Congress, constitutional or otherwise. I swear to God, TC, there's jackwagons running this country. Let's go to Jim in White Oak. You're on Real Talk 1160.
This is somebody else.
Hold on, prankster, hold on. Jim in White Oak, you're on Real Talk 1160. Say something witty or wise.
Hello, Bulldog. I wanted to comment on this thing. This is not a matter of criticizing a Supreme Court decision as people have criticized Roe versus Wade or this type of thing. This is a matter of a basic misstatement or fundamental non-understanding by Barack Obama of what the Supreme Court is to do. And in effect, like you just said, he basically said, if Congress passes a law, the Supreme Court would be an activist court to rule that it was unconstitutional. Well, that is what the Supreme Court does. They either rule unconstitutional, and of course I have big issues, as you do, with many, especially a lot of the decisions.
For example, Roe v. You make a great point, Jim. Here's an example, ladies and gentlemen of the American jury. Roe v. Wade. They found. Roe v. Wade, they found the right for a woman to have an abortion in the quote-unquote privacy clause, which doesn't exist, which developed over time in Supreme Court decisions. They found, so there's a lot of people, myself included, that basically says Roe v. Wade is wrong and how they made that decision. But Jim from White Oak or Eric Deters or everybody else, none of us are saying the Supreme Court doesn't have the right to decide whether something's constitutional or not. We disagree with them in finding that is constitutional. What the president is doing in this particular case is he's questioning whether they have the right to decide something's constitutional. If I laid it out correctly.
You have, and see, this is such a basic misunderstanding that I do challenge. If somebody was to tell me, when Walter Williams or Thomas Sowell is one of the smartest men in the United States, I would say, fine, these are black leaders. But to say that Barack Obama is, to say the least, the jury is out. This is like somebody saying, what? We have 3 branches of government? It's very close to that. It's about as imbecilic a statement as one can make. I don't care if you're president or citizen.
You know what it is, too, Jim, and I really appreciate your comments. It's also a huge mistake for him to basically attack the court in the middle of this. Stupid. And I don't care what anybody says. People have been asking whether there's been a leak back or not. Ladies and gentlemen of the American jury, I am not naive. There is no doubt on my mind somebody connected to Sotomayor and Kagan is going to be having some kind of communication through channels back to the White House. No one will ever convince me otherwise. And by the way, the same holds true the other way. I'm very confident that when Rehnquist was the Chief Justice, there was some communications back through the White House to Republican presidents.
See, I agree with you. 100%.
I mean, there's no doubt in my mind, like, hey, will you tell your Justice Department that we really don't want to hear this case? Or the Justice Department may not want to file an appeal on this. I mean, you're not going to tell me that doesn't happen.
Conversations that you and I will never hear.
Correct.
I agree with you 100%.
Prankster, you're on Real Talk 1160. Say something witty or wise.
Yes, Glenn, you cannot have Sarah Palin. I want Sarah Palin. We're going to follow Sarah Palin into Washington like a march like Joan of Arc, but we're not going to let them drag her off the horse and burn her at this time. Glenn, you cannot have her. We know you love her, Glenn. She don't want you, Glenn. You're a Democrat. We're Republicans now, Glenn. I switched to Democratic Party just because of you, Glenn and Sarah Palin.
Thank you for that, prankster. You know what? Wouldn't it be fun to have Glenn from Mason and Sarah Palin in the same room for an hour? And they'd have to merge from that room, and we'd see what Glenn's thoughts were. Before getting into the politics of yesterday, we got to play our official feel-good song. We've played a lot of music today, but this is the official song for the day. And I remember listening to this song on a cassette player in the early 70s. The Grassroots. This song's going to stick in your head, folks. Midnight Confessions. Have you ever made a midnight confession, TC?
Oh, I don't confess anything at midnight. That's a Malayan at midnight.
Ladies and gentlemen, don't ever confess. Bulldog advice for the day.
Wasn't me. Deny.
Wasn't me. Unless you want to confess you love somebody, go ahead. That's okay.
Yeah, that's what this is about.
That's right.
The Grassroots, they were like the original Tea Party, weren't they?
Yes.
Grassroots?
Yes. That bass. Boom, boom, boom. You know what, TC?
What's that?
Isn't it weird at night you have those melodrama feelings? It's at night, isn't it? At nighttime, you get that melodrama going.
Yeah, when I'm watching Cinemax or something.
You're more
like
apt
that,
to confess something at night. Write a love letter at night.
Something about the nighttime, huh?
Yes, the nighttime.
There's something I've been wanting to tell you for a long time, sweetheart.
How about this? I just want to tell you that I love you. And they say, that's nice. You're like, boy, do I feel stupid. I wish I would have never told you that.
Be quiet. I can't hear Leno.
There's nothing worse than loving and not being reciprocated.
That's true.
I got a funny story. Now, this is a politically incorrect story, but it's too funny.
Uh-oh.
This is from the Associated Press.
Are we going to get letters?
We're going to get letters.
Uh-oh.
Defiantly waving an Arizona state flag, the self-described American patriot leaps into the octagon-shaped ring amid blaring music and loud boos from an overwhelmingly Latino audience who hold aloft signs in Spanish supporting his masked Mexican opponents. He says, "My name is R.J. Brewer, and I'm from Phoenix, Arizona." He proceeds to rail against Mexican beer and demand that people speak English. Then he points to the message painted on the backside of his red trunks, SB 1070, a reference to Arizona's controversial immigration law. The crowd, some wearing masks as their favorite Mexican wrestlers, shrieks. He then brags that his mother, Arizona Governor Jan Brewer, is helping save America by pushing policies that limit immigration. He's not really her son. When masked opponent in the red cape appears, the crowd erupts into cheers. The sport came north of the U.S. along the Mexican immigrants. This is called Mexican wrestling. More recently, the sport's promoters target American immigrants. But this guy... He's like the bad guy in Mexican wrestling. Is that hilarious, though? He's carved out his niche.
The anti-immigration guy.
I am the anti-immigration wrestler. And I think that's great. He calls Jan Brewer his mom. That's funny stuff.
Now, she's going to be calling you. Can I sue him for that?
Yes. Can I sue him? Lucha Libre, which apparently is free wrestling. It's free wrestling, too. Oh, you got to love it. All right, folks, last night... in the big elections, Romney won Wisconsin, Maryland, and Washington, picking up 27 plus 37 is 64 plus 80 delegates. Santorum got none. Wisconsin, he won by 5 points, and Maryland, he won by 21 points. In D.C., he won by a boatload. I mean, come on. And when we come back, I want to follow up what's next. This is over, folks. This is over. Santorum needs to get the hell out before he gets embarrassed in Pennsylvania on Real Talk 1160. And listen, no midnight confessions on Real Talk 1160. Eric Deters, the Bulldog, on Real Talk 1160. Last night, Romney won Wisconsin, Maryland, and Washington, D.C. But get this. You know what's next, folks? It's always important to know what's next.
I know
TC,
what's next.
You got a green water commercial?
Well, no, I was just going to say, I think he's in line to win the Kentucky Derby, the Belmont, and the Preakness as well.
I think he could be.
Yeah.
Mitt Romney, the following are scheduled April 24th. This is April the 3rd. Is the day the 3rd?
4th.
The 4th. 19 more days. Anyway, Connecticut, Delaware, New York, Pennsylvania, and Rhode Island excuse me, are all scheduled for April the 24th. Mitt Romney is going to win Connecticut, Delaware, New York, Rhode Island, and probably Pennsylvania. Why? Because Santorum is there in Pennsylvania, and he's going to be fighting to hold on to it. But you know what? It's close. It was like a 20-point gap, but it's not anymore. And what's going to happen is the establishment in Pennsylvania is going to be supporting Mitt Romney. And let me just tell you something else that's just a reality. And a lot of people get caught up on this as if it's something bad. But it's really nothing bad. I'm sorry, I got a throat problem. Bottom line is the fact that when you are from a state or you're from an area, those people don't necessarily like you as much as you'd like them to like you. Why? Because you've had time to create a lot of enemies. Rick Santorum has had lots of votes in Pennsylvania that have made a lot of people mad. And what's really, really significant is the fact that you can do all these things for people, and you make one vote, you make an enemy. I mean, it's just the way human nature is. You can help people all day long, and then one time you do one thing they don't like, and they don't vote for you anymore. So Rick Santorum, the fact that he's been in Pennsylvania and was a United States, in fact, he proved that he lost a state once by 20 points, is that just because he's from Pennsylvania doesn't mean necessarily he's going to win it, especially if you've had a lot of votes that have made large groups of people mad. Plus, the establishment in Pennsylvania is going to be for Romney. Plus, guess what? Media markets, Pittsburgh, Philadelphia, money, 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 money. Santorum's going to get bashed. They're going to pull out votes that he made that were bad for Pennsylvania and just blast away. So when Rick Santorum loses Connecticut, Delaware, New York, Pennsylvania, and Rhode Island on April 24th, maybe he will get the hell out of the way. It's really ridiculous for him to stay in this thing. And he claims that, going into May, there's Texas. And hello, Rick. What do you think is going to happen in Texas when you got media markets? Austin, Dallas, Houston. Rick, you can't make all the diners in Texas. Do you agree, TC? Too many diners in Texas.
You can't borrow money from Newt either.
Newt's broke.
Yeah.
You know what's sad? I have seen this so many times, myself included. When I ran for office, I spent too much money. But I've seen local candidates, they almost go bankrupt on these campaigns. They get so driven and wanting to win and spending money. Yeah. God bless his soul, one of my dearest friends. In fact, I was his godfather, Barry Brand. Barry Brand ran for sheriff, and he had an illusion about his ability to win this thing, and he spent too much money, and it didn't make any difference how much money he was spending. He wasn't going to win.
And what I don't mean to interrupt you, but I wonder, too, about
bankrupted himself, God love him.
Yeah, and now we're thinking about electing this guy for president. What if he has a pet project that, come hell or high water, are going to push this through, like a streetcar or something, like that? Maybe he'll, take our tax dollars and bankrupt us that way.
Well, Newt Gingrich, I'm beginning to think that he's not as rich as I thought he was. He had all these businesses and companies and whatnot, and I thought he kind of had some money. But the fact that he was relying so much on this super PAC guy, maybe he's smart. He's just using somebody else's money. And the fact that he has all this debt, I'm kind of shocked that he hasn't written a check. But on the other hand, he had a $500,000 credit at Tiffany's.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Boy, that was a killer, isn't it, of an image standpoint? I mean, okay, I'm the Bulldog. I want the image, which is legitimate. Right. I fight for the little guy. I don't make any qualms that, hey, I make more money than the average blue collar guy. But my image would be completely blown away if I had a $500,000 credit line at Tiffany's.
Right.
They say, "Come on, Bulldog, man, you're not like the little guy. Are you kidding me?"
Well, see, you don't want to drive up to
like
court
belonging to a
Dodge
country
Dart.
club. I don't want to belong to a country club.
Right.
But even if I wanted to, and I'll be honest with you, there's a part of me, I'm being serious, I'd kind of like to join the Kenwood Country Club just because of the people that I know there. Willie's a member there, and there's a kind of thing, that'd be kind of a neat place to, mingle.
Yeah.
But the reason why I don't is I don't want to belong to a country club.
Yeah. Well, see, the thing is, you've got to have that image that's somewhere between, I mean, you're not pulling up to court in a Dodge Dart.
Right.
It's like, look at this guy, But then again, you don't want to have your chauffeur open the doors for
you. And let's face it, that's Romney's problem. I mean, you got elevator cars
right.
in San Diego, man, that just kills your image.
For both Cadillacs.
And nobody minds success and everything else, but it's kind of weird. Okay, it's like, I can picture George Washington. Even George Washington was filthy rich. Man, the fact that he was a general and he was at Valley Forge and he slept out there in the field and everything else. It's kind of like, he's, we
like
can bond with.
Eisenhower.
Yeah, like Eisenhower, same kind of thing. Ronald Reagan, he might have been a movie star, but Ronald just came off like he was your grandpa.
Right. And he was so sincere about loving the country and
Correct.
making America #1 again.
Well said. But it's almost kind of like you can be rich and not portray yourself like that, and then you could not be rich, or you can be rich and it doesn't work. Here's locally, I think a couple people that did it. I always felt like here in Cincinnati, Carl Lindner, who was filthy rich, we kind of all looked at him as kind of like our collective grandpa.
Yeah.
Castellini, I feel like, has that same. Castellini looks like a half Irish, half Italian, everybody's grandpa kind of guy.
When he took
Don't
over,
you think so? I mean, does Castellini come off like a filthy rich guy? No.
Well, the thing is,
Romney does.
You have that with Castellini. He had that attitude when he came in. It's like, oh, everything's gonna be great now.
Yeah.
But I think Romney. I think the what he's trying to push the fact that, hey, look, I am the American dream. Everyone can attain what I have, and I think that's what he's trying.
Maybe it's because Carl Lindner and Castellini never named any of their kids Tag.
That's it.
I mean, come on, man.
That had to be one drunken night.
We made fun of that a lot, but come on, man. Your average American isn't named Tag.
Right. No one is named Tag.
Dick Cheney left the hospital yesterday after getting his heart transplant successfully. And you know what? I've always admired Cheney's intellect, but I also think he's made a lot of bad decisions, and he kind of ran the presidency. I don't care what anybody says. But, he was famous for, like, whether he had a heart or not. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of jokes about the heart transplant.
Well, we can't call him the Tin Man anymore.
Right, we can't. We know he's got a heart now.
Yeah.
We know he's got a heart.
Going quail hunting.
Let me see. Moody's downgrade. This is incredible. GE Electric Company, its financing subsidiary, has been downgraded. How do you like that? Downgraded. Avon has turned down a $10 billion offer. A $10 billion offer.
To do what?
To be sold.
Oh, I thought maybe to pose in Playboy or something.
Yeah. On
naked Avon
the
bottles.
Avon ladies posing for Playboy.
See the naked bottles.
No offense, Avon ladies, I don't want to see you all naked.
Just the bottles.
Ladies and gentlemen, the American jury, a new segment of my newsletter and my blog and my report is going to be the national debt, the debt per person, the debt per taxpayer, the employment figures, the liabilities, and the total unfunded liabilities every day. Dr. Kurtzman, who has just joined us in the studio. Dr. Kurtzman, we got a lot of questions for you.
Good morning.
But first of all, 15,600 billion is our national debt. Now, Dr. Kurtzman, you're like me. You make a good living, but I'm sure you've already paid enough. And even though you make a good living, if you're like me, because of all the bills that I have, I spend more than I make, just like everybody else. do you have lying around? And maybe you do, and I don't mean to put you on the spot. The debt per taxpayer for this $15 trillion is $137,784. I'm going to go ahead and I'll go ahead and share with the American public. I do not have $137,784 lying around that I could pay my portion of that, and I'm a lawyer. Do you have $137,784 that you can spare to pay that off?
I do not. I could not cover my portion at this point.
Now, TC is a taxpayer. Now, and he's on a different income level than we are. I mean, stating the obvious. But TC, do you have $137,784?
No, I do not.
Now, let's all of us do like Matthew McConaughey and close our eyes, and let's all think of somebody we know that's not a taxpayer. Does that person you thought of have $49,845, which is a citizen portion?
No, not at all.
Only if they get it from the government. No, they don't.
Is this not incredible, folks? We're bankrupt. The economy's improving. The economy's improving.
It's a great way to break it down and look at it because nobody understands trillions.
When we come back, the Plastic Man's in the house on Real Talk 1160.
Remember this weekend, it's a Two Fat Guys hardware show from 10 until noon right here on Real Talk 1160. And now back to the Bulldog.
Eric Deters, the Bulldog on Real Talk 1160. Joining me in studio is Dr. Lawrence Kurtzman from the Kurtzman Plastic Surgery Group in Kenwood.
That gets better every week.
He has his own theme song.
I love that.
Because he's a star.
Dr. Kurtzman, have you ever done any transgender work?
Quite a bit, actually.
No.
Yeah, where I trained in Norfolk, Virginia, which at the time was one of the best places in the world to train, we actually had a gender identity clinic where we had people flying in from all over the world for transgender operations.
All right, I'm going to give you a TMI. Too much information, okay? Ladies and gentlemen of the American jury, what I'm about ready to say, which will be coded for the adults, I have a hard time believing not all men are not curious. I have absolutely no desire, nor would I have a desire to know what childbirth is like. However, I have to admit, and I've asked, and I've never gotten a good explanation, that of course, you know, the act, we all know how it feels from a man's viewpoint. I have to admit, it would be curious to know what the act is like from a female standpoint. And of course, as a male, you're never going to know that unless you had that surgery. And I say this, knowing how that felt from a female standpoint would not be worth the surgical procedure, Doc.
No matter how green the grass is on the other side of the fence.
Well, you probably wouldn't know anyway because the nerves, everything is a little bit different. It would never be the same. It's never the same.
TC, have you ever wondered, though, what it's like? I mean, because we know what it's like from our, but I'm always curious, I wonder what it's like. Yeah. But I would never want to have a surgery to try to find out.
Right, not
and
that
according to Dr. Kurtzman, it wouldn't make any difference anyway.
Yeah, really? you don't want to know. You know what? We're happy as guys.
Now, Miss Canada, 23-year-old Jenna, is transgender, and she is going to be allowed, according to Donald Trump, to compete for Miss Universe Canada. And then if she wins, she will, of course, win. Now, I got to just say something. I want to say something. I can hear the managers of the other women in the Miss Universe Canada competition talking to their candidates now. Let me tell you something right now, Linda. Let me tell you something right now, Holly. Let me tell you something right now, Angie. If you can't beat a transgender chick, I'm going to kill you. I mean, come on. How do the beautiful women of Canada lose to a transgender woman?
Well, I don't know. Doc, what do you think? It seems like someone that's gone through the surgery is going to have someone make them look great.
You can still tell.
They do. I mean, it depends on their stature. A big man is never going to look good as a woman, but there's some pretty slight men that will. And they say that, you go to a gay bar, and this is not from personal experience, that the best looking women there are actually the men dressed as women.
I will say this. As a completely straight heterosexual man,
disclaimer,
I'm always amazed how handsome some of the members of the gay community are. And I sit there and think to myself, the girls this guy could snag. And here's the most famous one, George Michael. My God, I wish I looked like George Michael.
He's not gay. He's just doing that to get chicks.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot
That's
of
a good
truth to
idea.
that. Well,
Isn't it true if you're gay that like the women will take their clothes off in the changing room in front of you?
Don't care.
Yeah, they don't care. They're like best friends. They love the gay. They love the gay men because they don't get hit on.
You're right. You're right. They don't get hit on.
They're best buddies. They can share clothes. They can share beauty tips. But it's nice that all these good-looking men we don't have to compete with, though.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm
off the market.
I'm off the market
I mean,
anyway.
the three of us would have no chance.
I'm the only one here that's off the market. You guys are on the market. How is it out there in this day and age, the dating scene, Dr. Kurtzman and TC?
The single life?
The single life.
There's pros and cons to everything.
I got a comment about. I've never been single. I'm a codependent dude. I break up with a girl. I got to get a new one. If I ever get divorced, I'd be married in a month. Let me tell you something. I always see this. I think single people aren't very happy for the following reason. Now, some people are happy with themselves. Here's why. Most single people are looking for what the married person has.
And
one good person.
And then the married people are sometimes looking for what the single people have.
Not me. I would be miserable single. God, I'd be miserable single. I'm codependent. I'm going to have midnight confession. This is an 8:55 confession. I am a codependent person. I need somebody there with me or else I'm lousy. Heck, I get in a fight with my wife, I have a bad day.
Yeah,
that's good. Well, then you got a great partner, and you're with the person you should be. That's a wonderful, wonderful thing. Married people are happier. They live longer.
They do. Do you have anything special you would like to promote at the Kurtzman Plastic Surgery Center? Because you know what? Here, I never like to shamelessly self-promote myself, but I love to shamelessly self-promote. I make TC laugh the hardest. I love to shamelessly self-promote others.
Well, this is that springtime of year. It's getting crazy busy.
Mommy, what do you call it?
Yeah, the mommy makeover.
Mommy makeover time.
Well, what happens is people want to look good for the summer. People start working out. People start losing weight. People start getting in shape. It's also a huge time for getting breast augmentation, breast implants, tummy tucks, liposuction, because you're going to be out there. You're going to be in the bathing suit, and you want to look great.
I got a great idea, Dr. Kurtzman.
I'm
this
afraid.
Is a great idea.
Tell me.
How about if we do this? 50% off the procedure. We have a contest where people email me who they are, what procedure that they want done and why, and we pick a winner out of all these people that you do that procedure on for 50% off, or we can figure out what the deal is. But that'd be a great promo for the show. And we could do it over a course of a month or something and get some needy person who needs a procedure.
Show us you're ugly.
Patty, the sales lady, is holding her eyes like, oh, my God, this is going to get – wait, that is – Patty, you're correct. No, we're not going to do that. Can you imagine some of the things that I'm going to – oh, my God. No. It won't be good. It'll be all bad. Here, Bulldog, I want to show you a picture of my feet that I need redone. Here's a picture of my fat gut stretch marks I want done. No. We'd have to do like – elective procedures that make you look even better contest.
Exactly.
That was a bad idea, Dr. Kurtzman.
Yeah, well, you gotta talk these things out ahead of time. But as a plastic surgeon, we don't really do contests because it's a medical procedure. It's something serious. We don't make fun of it. We don't play it as a game. Our society actually strongly frowns upon contests and procedures and giving away things because you give it away.
Same thing in law. It's like, call me up and I'll give you a free will. I mean, it's not good in the legal business either.
Right. Now, I'm happy if anybody mentions they heard us here to give them a discount.
You hear that? Mention that you heard him on Bulldog, Real Talk 1160, and he'll give you a 0.5% discount on whatever procedure you have.
Yeah, maybe a 20% discount if they mention that the Bulldog sent you.
The Bulldog sends you to
that?
the Kurtzman Plastic Surgery Group in Kenwood. Do you belong to the Kenwood Mall? I mean, the Kenwood Mall. The Kenwood Country Club?
I do not. I belong to Los Santaville Country Club.
The Los Santaville Country Club.
Which is real close to my house. My kids get off the bus from school. They can walk there. It's real nice.
I just had a great idea. When I'm a national television and radio host, we're going to create a Bulldog Nation country club, and it's going to be like a blue-collar country club Would that be cool as heck? Yeah. Call it the Bulldog Nation Country Club, where you can't get wine or champagne. You can only get beer and scotch on the rocks.
And I'd say Bill Murray should be the first member.
Bill Murray. We won't have golf. We'll have a croquet. No croquets too hoity-toity too. We'll have a shotgun turkey shoots every Friday.
Too bad Rodney Dangerfield will join us.
Have you ever been to a turkey shoot?
I have not. Tell me.
It's pretty funny. You know, it's funny that you mentioned about the humor, this Rodney Dangerfield. Somebody sent me a list of Rodney Dangerfield jokes. I've actually given it to Sarah to use on the blog and humor, but they're pretty funny. I got like a Rodney Dangerfield joke. But Dr. Lawrence Kurtzman from the Kurtzman Plastic Surgery Group, thanks for coming in, buddy.
Always a pleasure to talk to you.
Remember, if you call Kurtzman up, you get 20% off. Tell him the Bulldog sent you for those breastises. Every dog has their day. I hope tomorrow is yours. Congratulations, Ladybug, on Real Talk 1160.